The Boy Who Was Raised Without Language. This article has been created by the Thoughtful Society. It is a speech that is taken from one of the Society's members, and the aim is to teach, analyze, research, and give comments on particular topics. These are spoken words and teachings, and they have been organized, written, and published by the Thoughtful Society. Published by the Thoughtful Society on the 6th of May, 2025. The real story begins in 1800 in the forests of southern France. Locals discovered a wild child, a boy, naked, scarred, around 11 or 12 years old, foraging alone in the woods near Saint-Cernin-sur-Rance. He didn't speak. He didn't understand speech. He didn't respond to human customs or even wear clothing. He growled. He fled from touch. He didn't seem to recognize the rules of society because for all we knew, he'd never been exposed to them. This boy, later named Victor of Aviron, would become one of the most famous feral children in modern history. He had no language, no mother tongue, no words, no grammar, just being. Scientists and philosophers were fascinated. Jean-Marc Gaspard Itard, a young French physician, took Victor into his care. He wanted to answer one of the great Enlightenment questions. Is language natural or learned? Are we born human or made human by society? For years, Itard worked tirelessly with Victor. He tried to teach him to speak, to read, to socialize. There was progress. Victor learned to recognize objects, respond to commands, and showed emotional connection. He smiled, he played, but he never truly spoke. He never developed full language. This, for many, was deeply unsettling, because without language, it seemed something was missing. Victor could feel, could sense, could respond, but he could not reflect. He couldn't form abstract thoughts or communicate inner experience. He wasn't incapable. His brain was functional. But because he had passed that mysterious, critical period where the brain is wired for language acquisition. After those early years, the window began to close. And here's the haunting part. He was not in pain. He was not wrong. He was just other. He was someone else. A mirror held up to our world, showing us what we are when the structures fall away, when words dissolve. You see, in the first years of life, particularly from birth to around age 7, the human brain is like wet clay. It is plastic, highly adaptive, forming connections at extraordinary speeds. This is when a child picks up language naturally, by exposure, without effort. They don't need grammar lessons. Their brain absorbs structure from the environment. But after this period, that door closes slowly, and eventually locks. Victor was found around age 11 or 12, meaning he had likely passed through that window without regular exposure to human speech. What does this mean for his brain? It means the left hemisphere, typically dominant for language, likely never fully matured in the way it does in socialized children. The Broca's area, responsible for speech production, and Wernicke's area, language comprehension, had not been properly activated and reinforced. This doesn't mean Victor's brain was broken. It means the highway never got paved. The brain, in a beautiful but cruel way, says, we're not using this part. I'll stop building it. So in Victor's case, the neurological foundations of syntax, semantics, and symbolic thinking were underdeveloped or even permanently lost. So what's left, if not language? Victor's brain may have functioned like a mind caught in perpetual sensory immediacy. You know the feeling of being fully immersed in music or nature. No inner chatter, no labels, just experience. That may have been his baseline. No silent monologue, no narrative self. Without language, he likely didn't think in sentences. He couldn't project into the future or revisit the past in words. He probably processed emotions in a raw, unfiltered way, similar to how a toddler does before they can say, "I'm sad." He may have still felt sadness, joy, confusion. But the organization of those emotions was primitive. More sensation than cognition. like thunder with no word for storm. Language is tied to empathy and self-awareness. We mirror others by imagining their thoughts. That's called theory of mind, and it develops through language-rich interaction. Victor, having missed those, might have lacked full social cognition. He may not have grasped that others had separate inner worlds. This wasn't due to cruelty or deficiency, but because his neural pathways of social inference weren't strengthened. Even autistic children who struggle with social cues are often immersed in a world of words. Victor was not. He was like someone who could see people smile but didn't fully grasp why they smiled. The meaning didn't fully take root. Perhaps most hauntingly, language helps us build a self. It's the internal narrator that says, "I am tired," "I am afraid," or "I want to go home." Victor likely had no I in the traditional sense. His brain experienced being, hunger, fear, delight, but without a linguistic center to unite them, his life was a series of passing clouds, not a story. And yet Victor was not a vegetable. He laughed. He played. He bonded with his caretaker, Itard. He showed emotion and affection. His brain adapted, but it adapted differently. It was a living example of how human potential must be activated. It doesn't emerge automatically.